Hey everyone, MonstersReview here, and I was reading this article on animationscoop.com. I'll link it in the description, but it basically just kind of talks about fandoms and their influence. So that got me thinking a little bit more about it, and I'm here with PieGuyRulz to talk about it. So feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, hey guys, PieGuyRulz here.
So, we might as well just get right into it. So the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about is it's obvious that the fandom is mostly just, diehard fans, but and not all of the audience of a particular show is the fandom. So, how much influence do you think they can have on a show overall?
Uh, that depends on the show itself and how much that show wants to actually listen. I don't know. I don't know that I've really even seen that much of fandoms actually like influencing the show itself. Much more just causing certain people to like leave Twitter or such things. Um, so I don't know about that question.
Well, yeah, there's also just like, big TV network shows too versus low budget stuff because with the Frederator or the cartoon Hangover stuff like Bravest
Hmm.
Warriors and Being Puppy Cat, lots of people are really upset about the fact that you have to pay now to watch those shows, and they just used to be uploaded directly to the YouTube channel. And
Ooh.
I don't think they've really left. I don't think they've made a change, but they certainly have left an impact. But most of the time, I don't think fandoms have that much of an impact on big shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there was the whole Young Justice petition and the Galactic Kids Next Door petition, and those got a lot of publicity, lots of news, but they didn't really achieve anything.
Yeah. Petitions. Um, yeah, the internet definitely gives you the illusion that you have an impact on this stuff, especially when the creators and writers are generous enough to like actually answer questions on Twitter or have a Tumblr with not fan art. I guess it's not fan art if it's made by the official people, but you know what I mean. Just doodles they drew that they're just like, hey, check out this cool drawing of these characters as the Avengers. Like we'd never air this on Cartoon Network, but here's just a little drawing. I guess in this day and age when you have creators actively like that, it is very easy to have the illusion that like, oh, they're listening to us, but I don't think they actually do. In fact, I know explicitly, at least when it comes to SpongeBob, the writers there are on Twitter are like explicitly like, do not send us ideas, we cannot use them, like we legally cannot, and please don't do that. But so I think a lot of people assume that they do, but I don't know how much they do. And I mean, personally, I think that's a good thing. As much as I'd like to be listened to, I think that the creators should definitely do what they think is best. And if they want to listen to something that's like overwhelming majority, like hates a character or something like that, and make a modification to that character, I think that's a good thing. But like explicitly listening to each individual person in the fandom, or even just like a certain part of the fan, like just listening to the Tumblr part of the fandom or something, I think is not a good idea.
Well, yeah, there's also like that niche group of the fandom who write like fan fiction and that kind of stuff, but you never see those ideas incorporated into the final product.
Yeah.
So, one question I wanted to ask you is, obviously fandoms do have a lot of influence. Both of us are on social media. Has the fandom of a certain show ever changed your perception or view on it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so before we talk about this, I wanna kind of point out the difference between not liking a show or not wanting to watch a show or whatever versus calling a show explicitly bad. Because you could not want to watch something for a number of reasons. But I think anyway, to call a show bad is to say that there is something um wrong with the show, or to something that you think could, you have a criticism of.
Yeah, it's like the
Um
show directly, not the stigma around it.
Exactly. But I think that you can not like something or not want to watch something because just people are spamming it. Like there are certain things, video games get this pretty bad, but TV shows do as well, where people on YouTube will just like every video on YouTube will have a comment about that specific topic, even if it has nothing to do with it. Um I don't really want to name names because I feel like I'll upset someone, but you know what I mean? Like there are these certain things that just get oversaturated everywhere. You see like YouTube thumbnails. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, so I mention YouTube, but like, you see everyone's thumbnails got to be a character from this show, and every there has to be a comment everywhere, and it has to be like, is something vaguely similar to this show? Has to be a direct reference. you just get sick of seeing the saturation and you just don't want to watch the show. And that doesn't mean to say that the show is bad. That doesn't mean to say that you'll never watch the show. But yeah, I mean, I guess to give an example, I don't want to ever watch Frozen. I was not interested in watching Frozen in the first place. It was not something that really appealed to me. But I was like, maybe someday I'll check it out. But after just all of the oversaturation, I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to ever see this show or this movie. I'm just not interested in it at all because so many people are. And again, I have no qualms with it. I've never seen the film, so I can't say that it's bad or good. But I don't want to watch that show mostly because of the fandom or the movie. God dang it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's different from saying that the show is bad. So I just wanted to address that first. But has my perception changed on something that I already liked, and then I saw the fandom and I was like, I'm not so sure I want to be associated with this anymore?
Yeah, I guess.
Not really. There are definitely certain fandoms that maybe not want to be associated with the fandoms anymore. But once I like a show, I can kind of turn the fandom off if I don't like the way they're acting, and just focus on the show itself. But yeah, there are definitely fandoms that definitely kind of kept me from watching certain things, I guess I could say. How about you?
Well, yeah, totally. I try to go into everything I watch with like an open mind, but sometimes the fandom can leave a bad taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, most of my viewers know this. I've never really been too big into Steven Universe, but the fandom has honestly just showed me that it must be like a really, really great show because there's just so many people that seem to be very devoted to it. And sometimes this isn't always a great thing. Like, certain other YouTubers have been attacked for having an unpopular opinion on it. I remember like a crew member went off Twitter because she was getting attacked too much. But yeah, same thing with My Little Pony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, in terms of Steven Universe, that's a fandom that gets a lot of criticism thrown at it. I think rightly so, because there are definitely people in it that are doing bad things. But the thing about Steven Universe, the reason why the fandom is so big, and the reason why the percentage of bad people doing bad things, I should say, you see that many people, I think it's because the fandom is so big, and I think it's because the show, and Rebecca Sugar just said this a few days ago at Comic-Con, she like designed this show in order to inspire people to do something, like create fan art, have discussions, do all this sort of thing. She made the show in such a way to do that. And I think just because so many people are talking about the show, you're just going to have a higher percentage of jerks out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of why the Steven Universe fandom gets a bad rap. So if I could just change the subject for a moment, if I could move on, if you're okay with
yeah, totally.
that. I think one of the most frustrating and difficult things about the whole like fandom thing, when your fandom gets a bad reputation, it's because you can't. It's the internet, so what can you do? You cannot exclude people from the fandom. Like, if okay, let's say Jerk Guy 86 is being a bully on Twitter. Okay, sure, you can like ban Jerk Guy 86 from the subreddit or your fan whatever, your fan site, but like they could just create another account.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's the internet, it's the internet problem of like you can't. I think the only thing you can do is to just distance yourself as much as possible and say, like, look, we as a fandom don't approve of these actions. I think that's all you can do. And then the rest of it's just up to fate. If someone wants to go and do like horrible, horrible crimes, in the name of Steven Universe, in the name of, I don't know, like just something completely random, Ed from Ed, and Eddie or something. Like, if they want to just do something in the name of whatever, you can't stop them. No one can stop them. And unfortunately, that's just kind of the way that fandom will be perceived, thanks to the actions of a few.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's always the bad apples in the bunch, and also there's that whole thing where people feel more comfortable and they're more willing to say more controversial things behind a computer screen rather than in person.
Yeah.
And this kind of slides into the next topic: distinguishing hate from complaining and criticism.
Well, see, everything online is cyberbullying. It's just all of it. You say anything bad, and it's just all cyberbullying. That's how I feel. Not really. That's a joke. Don't bully me. No. Yeah. No. This is, again, I think it's the internet. It comes back to the fundamental issue and thing that our generation kind of has to deal with the internet, in that people like, we obviously agree that like bullying is wrong, and
Hmm.
we obviously well, not obviously, most people I think would agree bullying is wrong. I think also most people would agree that there's nothing wrong with just sharing your opinion, you know. But the problem is that what happens when your opinion intersects with something that is a little more nasty? There's a line there that nobody really knows where to cross. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you go on like someone's Facebook page and you're like, all right, you're just an awful person, like, go jump off a cliff. Obviously, that's not good. That, but like, if my criticism is that someone else on YouTube is making terrible reviews or something like that, and is that criticism, or is that me bullying them? And where, like, what is the line? Is if I don't use harsh language, is that just criticism but not bullying? If I, say, oh, but I'm a fan of theirs, if I say, oh, but please don't harass them, where is the line? And the internet as a whole is having a very difficult time finding this line in regards to a lot of things. And so I think it relates back to the fandom thing, because there's a lot of people out there like me and you that criticize stuff, and there's a lot of other people that seem to think that us criticizing is somehow like directly insulting the artist or something like that.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of a difference of opinion that's very hard to bridge. What are your feelings on that?
Well, yeah, there's many different ways you can voice your opinion on something, either in a constructive way or a more negative way. Either or can be misconstrued as being something that it's totally not. But some people seem to forget that other people have different opinions, and I just can't stand it. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people are totally ignorant of the fact that other people might have a different opinion than them. You know?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing too, is that you get into the problem with, like, people will say you're bullying or say you're being nasty or whatever, but what they really mean is, I don't like your opinion. Like, I don't want you to have that opinion anymore. Shut up. That, uh
No, yeah,
and yeah,
yeah. If someone has a total like off the wall opinion that in my opinion makes no sense, I'll still respect it because it's an opinion, and.
yeah. I mean, I I won't necessarily respect it, but I'll respect that they have the right to have it. Like, I'll
Yeah.
no, I mean, seriously, like, I think that there are some opinions out there that are just totally stupid, but I respect that they're a different person with different thoughts and feelings, and their opinion isn't wrong. But I think it's just kind of crazy. But I will definitely respect them, and I won't, like, yeah.
So moving on to the next topic. Lots of shows these days have very devoted fandoms. Do you think that these are a positive or a negative, or maybe a little bit of both?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of both, because like, there's been some wonderful fan art that's been made of a lot of different shows out there, and without a fandom, I don't know that I'd have a job. I don't know that I'd be able to do what I do on YouTube if people weren't so passionate about shows. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm passionate about them too. So I think that's definitely a good thing. But I guess the fandom is bad in the same way that any sort of mob mentality can be bad. Any sort of people that kind of form a group and have kind of power in the group and want to use that power, because a lot of people that are like super hyper obsessed with shows often don't have the best lives, the best real lives. And so they kind of, I definitely see it where they kind of use their power in the fandom to kind of try to present their narrative, because that's the place that they have power, that's the place where they're happy, and they don't want anyone to take that away from them, and they'll see criticism as like an attack on their show, an attack on them personally, and because they've invested so much in the show, they don't want anyone saying any bad things about it. And I think that that's kind of where fandoms can be a little bit bad, because it does kind of encourage that mob mentality and people getting too attached to a show. Again, I love shows. I'm very passionate about them, but I do think there is a level at which you really need to take a step back and reassess your behavior in your life.
Well, with that said, there's also the whole argument that the people in the fandom are the people who know the show best.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. I mean, like I said before, there's obviously the bad apples in the bunch, and sometimes the more radical fans can give the entire fandom a bad look. But yeah, there can be a lot of good things that a fandom can do, like support the show, give it more publicity, make art, that kind of stuff.
I've seen them even raise money for charities and stuff.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
totally. It's great.
to say that fandoms are just awful is just no. It's just fandoms will always attract bad people, just like any group out there will attract bad people. And it's a lot easier mentally, the way our brains are designed, to say that fandom is bad than saying, well, there's a select people in that fandom that are awful. The thing about being a fan and being a part of the fandom is that there's no prerequisite, there's no ideology behind it.
Hmm.
We're not talking about a specific ideology or religion or something where there are thoughts and ideas behind it, and that you can criticize and say, like, all right, well, maybe all these people are jerks because this one thing in their doctrine says that they have the right to punch everyone in the face, or something. You can criticize that because
Yeah.
that is something that's a cause and effect. But with a show, nothing dictates like what kind of are the people, the fans of the show, going to be good or bad. Steven Universe is just a show. Any other show, My Little Pony, is just a show. Yes, it does have like lessons, quote unquote, but it's always like be positive and happy. It's never like, hey, bully other people.
But yeah,
So
yeah. Then again, there is those like certain more experimental shows that can present extreme ideals, and in turn, that can make the fandom more extreme.
that's true. I mean, I guess I could see that with something maybe like South Park or something, but like, I don't know. When in talking in the scope of kids shows and stuff, you don't see like any of them really like encouraging bad behavior for the most part, and
Hmm.
so it's just weird to see people blaming like Steven Universe for like these people that are bullying people on Twitter, because it's like Steven Universe is like the most like anti-bullying show you could ever have. It's such like an open and inclusionary show that you're explicitly like going against what the characters in the show would want you to do, by doing that.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just kind of why I think it's weird. But I think it's natural. I think it's natural to lump all the fandom together, even though it does suck that that's not the right thing to do.
Hmm. So the last thing I want to ask you today is social media. It's garnered a huge impact on society as a whole in the past decade or so. And more recently, it's allowed creators and consumers to have more communication with each other. So, do you think this open connection is a good or bad thing, or do you think it's not necessarily so binary?
Yeah, I think it's ultimately down to the creator, because I've seen Craig McCracken. He answers questions on Twitter.
Oh
Like, he'll just
yeah,
answer questions from random people, and he's super cool about it. Like, even when people ask him, like, "Hey, what's going on with the new Powerpuff Girls?" He'll just be like, "I have no involvement with that show." Like, he won't,
yeah.
attack them. He won't be like, "Oh, I'm sick of answering this question," because he's answered it a number of times. No, he's just very nice, and I think that's the best attitude. But if you're someone who gets hurt easily or offended easily, and I don't mean this in a bad way, I just mean if you're sensitive and you know your limits, you might not want to be a creator on Twitter, because you are going to get hate comments, you are going to get people that are jerks, you're going to get a lot of kids too that just don't know any better. And you know what, no one says you have to have a Twitter, like, as a creator. No one says you have to do it. It's not a part of your contract or anything. So I think that it comes with a lot of negativity, but if you can handle that, then I think it's really great that creators interact with people. And if you can't handle that, then leave. I don't think there's any harm there.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you've ever seen the Cartoon Network social media pages, if you just look at the comments, almost like 75% of the replies are like, bring X and X back, or your channel sucks now. And they don't respond to anything. But if you're looking at someone like Jason DeMarco, who's one of the co-creators of Toonami, if someone tells him something idiotic, he just says like F off. So
And I mean, yeah, I mean, he might be right in saying that, but that's not great for publicity.
that's true.
In fact,
It's Adult
the
Swim,
worst.
but
Well, that is true. If it depends on how tongue in cheek it is, I guess. I don't know the context.
Mhm.
That's the other thing too, is that creators can have lash out. And I mean, as someone who has like a teeny tiny bit of notoriety, like, I tell you, you don't really want to do that, because if some nobody, like someone with a random account and an egg picture, is acting like a fool, no one cares. But if you say something that could be construed in a bad way, you're someone with a reputation, and it's just better to ignore than to get in a shouting match or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think sorry, go on.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's either a matter of ignoring it or just trying to respond to it in a very polite way.
Yeah, yeah. Even if you're totally like justified in going off on someone, it's usually not the best course of action. The worst Twitter creator I've ever seen, and I'm still not even 100% convinced this is a legit account. But have you ever seen how the people behind Pickle and Peanut interact on Twitter?
I haven't.
Oh, um, they will actively search out anyone who mentions Pickle and Peanut, not just in like a hashtag, like they'll search out if you just mention the words Pickle and Peanut. Um, they will seek you out and like say like sarcastic comments. Like I was just like, oh man, I'm not a fan of Pickle and Peanut, and they'll be like yeah man, it's the worst show ever, and it's just like the most bizarre passive aggressive garbage, and it really made people like just like what are you idiots doing, like I'm not usually like one to insult creators and stuff, but like just the way they act is really childish,
Yeah, I mean, it
and
probably is a
petty.
kid.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure these are official Twitter accounts for the people behind the
Oh,
show. No, yeah, I'll send you some links after, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not, but yeah, I've seen that, and that's like that's not good. You don't want a reputation like that, because just like the fandom can hurt the reputation of the show, so can the creator acting badly.
yeah. Well, that was a very enjoyable discussion. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like below, and feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments. Also, we did something on PieGuyRulz' channel.
Yep, you can go check that out now.
Yeah, we talked about the ending of Adventure Time, R.I.P. So yeah, as always, I'm Monsters Review. Thanks for watching, and have a spectacular day.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Shut up and take my money.